going to talk about goals, and I'm going to explain it in a way that showcases what I've done and the things I've implemented to help me move forward, and the reasons why I've implemented them, and past lessons that have led me to them. So when we're making a goal, it needs to be specific, it needs to be measurable, it needs to be achievable, it needs to be realistic, it needs to have some sort of time frame, and then we need to evaluate and give ourselves a reward for the process. I say this reward loosely, and we'll go on to that a little bit later. So let's start where my journey started. My journey started back here in 2022, June, July. June is towards the end of the June, and I was fed up. So I'd got to a stage where it was more painful to stay where I was than to take action to move forward. This is what happens when people want to make a change. They either get to a point where they're no longer happy with that point, and it's actually harder to continue to go backwards than it is to make the steps to go forwards. That happens. It could be some sort of trauma event, or it could be like that click, right, let's change. So there's different ways it comes around, but for me, it was like, if I continue to go backwards, it's not going to lead a good way. So I'm going to stop right there, and I'm now going to start to move forwards. So that was me back in June. The first goal I had was to walk 10,000 steps a day, every single day for 30 days. So I chose that goal, or that goal chose me, because I knew it was achievable. I knew it was a great way to measure, because all I had to do was check that I'd done 10,000 steps each day, and I had to do it every single day, and that was measurable. It was specific because it was 10,000 steps and it was over 30 days. It was realistic and it was relevant. I was in a situation where I couldn't really do much else. I was living in a van, stuck in a garage, and all I could do is walk from where I was out onto the moors every day. It was achievable because I had done days where it was more than 10,000 days, but I hadn't been consistent. So my steps would be, one day I'd do 20,000, we'd go out for a big walk, big hike, and then the next 4 days would be 2,000 because I was knackered from doing the 20,000. So what I was doing is I'd push it all out, and then like it would, for the rest of the week, it would be like that. So I'd have like one good day and then like 6 bad days. So spread it out across the week, 10,000. It was time framed, 30 days, and then we get to this bit a little bit later. So that was these 2 months, and I started off really well. I got up every morning, 7 o'clock, went out for my walk, listened to an audiobook. If I didn't listen to an audiobook, I was just walking, listening to the sound of nature. Do you want to do it? Yes, I want to do this. Okay, so yes, when you want to do something, you start to visualize what it feels like, what it looks like, how you feel, how you act. Like all of this is a visualization. Right, I'm going to get up in the morning, I'm going to go for a walk, I'm going to go this way, and then I'm going to listen to this podcast, and I'm going to like try this hill. And so all these things are going through your head when you want to do it. Okay, yes. When you don't want to do it, it's deep down, yes, you do want to do it, but there's something stopping you from wanting to do it, like the weather. You're tired, you're a little bit achy. So on those days, it would be like, right, if I don't go out and do this, day 12, if I don't go out and do this, then all that hard work I've just done is wasted, because I've just stopped the momentum. I'm not going to go and do it. If I don't go and do it, how am I going to feel at the end of the day? Probably going to feel like I've let myself down, probably going to feel a little bit shit, probably going to feel, was it actually that hard to go and do the 10,000 steps? that's how I'm going to feel. So I put in my brain, not in a negative self-talk way, in a conscious way, the fear of failure is actually worse than getting up and doing it. So I've put that on the days where I really didn't want to do it or didn't think I could get it done. I would start to think about how it would feel to fail. And that then pushed me to go, yes, I do want to go and do it, so I'm going to go and do it. So that's a little tool you can use when you're feeling a little bit demotivated, coming up with a few excuses. Put yourself in your shoes if you don't do it, because you know at the end of the day, if you don't do it, you're going to feel worse for not doing it than you are for actually doing it. So, but again, not in a negative self-talk way, just in a, okay, you've got this, you can go and do it. It's not that hard. You're just putting these things in the way because you're feeling a little bit tired. So that was the goal. That was the first goal. And it's very, very important to set goals that aren't out of reach. Because if I said, right, okay, for 30 days, I'm going to run for 30 minutes each day. Do you see how much harder that is? If you've gone from nothing or a little bit, to then, right, I'm going to run for 30 minutes each day. That's specific, it's measurable. Is it realistic and is it achievable? If you haven't ran for so many years and you thought, right, today's the day, going to put my trainers on, going to start running, you're more than likely going to get injured. You're more than likely going to do more damage than good. So you've got to make sure that your goals are set to where realistically you are. So once I'd done this, and I was coming to the end of it, I was like, right, I'm gonna, this is good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like this is moving me forward. I feel like I've lost a little bit of weight. I feel a little bit more fitter. I can walk up that hill better than I could at the beginning. I'm less out of breath. I'm less sweaty. I'm less exhausted by the end of the day. So those positive feelings then move on to the next goal. But what you want to try and be doing is, once you're coming towards the end of a certain goal, you want to already be thinking about the next goal, and you already want to be putting things in place. So I was like, right, I think it was the 22nd or the 23rd that goal finished, but I was already thinking, right, the next goal. And I didn't start it straight away because I started the next goal on the 1st of August. So give me 10 days or 10 or so days where I was like, right, I'm just going to continue walking. So I'm going to continue walking, but this time I'm going to continue walking. Now that I know I can do 10,000 steps a day for 30 days, I'm just not going to start, I'm just going to stop tracking it. Okay, tracking is good and tracking is bad. Once you track things, it takes away the joy of it. So if I say to myself, I'm going to do my fucking 10,000 steps, rather than, let's just go out for a walk. Let's go for a nice walk. I know that if I walk for an hour and a half, I've pretty much done 10,000 steps. So I don't need to track it. I don't need the phone to tell me that I'm walking 10,000 steps. I can literally get up and I can go for a walk and enjoy it without having to think, am I going to hit my 10,000 steps? Imagine coming back from a lovely walk, an hour and a half, out walking in nature, countryside. You get back and your phone's 9,995. Fuck, I didn't do my 10,000 steps. You just went for a nice hour and a half walk. The 5 steps, doesn't really matter. We're becoming reliant on this data on how we live, and we've got to be realistic about this. We've got to be realistic, if you've done 10,000 steps in a day, you know that if you've gone out for a walk for an hour and a half, 2 hours, you have done your 10,000 steps. You don't need to be tracking it every single day. If you're doing a specific challenge or a specific goal, go for it. But then take the tracking away and remember what it's like to just enjoy a walk for it being a walk and not for a goal or a reward at the end of a flashy sign saying you've done 10,000 steps. Again, I'll come to that a little bit later. So July, I was already thinking, right, August I'm going to start. I'm going to start stepping it up a little bit. Okay, so I'm around 12 stone 7 and I want to live, my overall goal is to live a happy and healthy lifestyle. That was my overall goal, to live happy, healthy lifestyle. I planned to start here for August the 1st, and within those 10 days after I finished that challenge, I got myself an online personal trainer. I wouldn't have done that in the past. I would have just gone to YouTube and I would have followed a program and I would have followed it for a few weeks and then got bored of it, or am I doing the right thing? Am I keeping up with the movements? Am I doing this? There was too much noise for me. This is my journey, this is for me. It might be completely different for you. But I needed a set structure, a set program to follow, to know from an expert that I was doing the right things and I was moving in the right way. So contacted a PT. I want to start the 1st of August and I want to get fit and healthy. Okay, he comes back to me. Okay, what's your goal weight? I was like, oh my God, do we have to make it about weight? Does it have to be a goal weight? And then I come back to this. Okay, yes, I do need to put a goal weight in because it needs to be specific, it needs to be measurable, it needs to be achievable, blah, 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 blah. So the reason I didn't want to put a goal weight in is because before, in the past, I've got to my goal weight and then I'm like, yes, made it, did it, I'm awesome, look at me. And I revert back to all the things I used to do. I got to the goal weight, say 9 stone, that was my goal weight in this bit here. Got to 9 stone, perfect. I can just go and do everything I used to do now. It doesn't work like that. So that's one of the reasons I didn't want to put a goal weight in, because I didn't want to get to that weight and then I didn't want to just revert back to my old ways, because all I was focused on was that 9 stone. So when we're making goals, it's important to reach for these goals, but it's very, very important to realise the goal is not the reward. We don't get to the end and be like, yeah, okay, done it, made it, well done. Actually, consistently seeking is the reward. So consistently moving from step to step is the reward. So I've just gone from walking 10,000 steps a day to, right, okay, what's next? The next is I've completed that challenge. I didn't make a big fuss about it. I didn't think, oh yes, I've done it, like 10,000 steps. That's just 10,000 steps, okay, cool. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. And it is important to celebrate things along the way. It is important to give yourself rewards, but make sure it's not like every single time you reach your milestone or every single time you reach your target. Sometimes give yourself a reward, sometimes don't give yourself a reward. And think of it as like, the reward is actually in the process, not the outcome. The reward is me waking up every single day and going for a walk and walking 10,000 steps. Like, before that, I was not doing that. So, George, well done, you've got up today and you've walked 10,000 steps. Internally, give yourself the reward. Don't seek external rewards. Like, don't seek, okay, the scale say I'm 9 stone, brilliant. No, you've done the workouts, you've done the clean eating, you've put in the work, you've shown up every single day. That's the reward. The reward isn't the 9 stone on the scales. So this next goal, I made it 9 stone. Okay, it was specific. It was going from 12 stone 7, around that, can't remember what it was, to 9 stone. Is measurable? Yes. Achievable? Is it achievable? Okay, so how I work this out is 9 stone is a weight that when I was at my fittest and my healthiest felt good. It's also something to do with like my BMI and my height and all of that, which I don't 100% trust, but I thought, okay, that's a good place to start to aim for. And then, is it achievable? I then broke it down. If I had to lose like £2 a week. How many weeks would it take me to get to 9 stone? And it was like worked out around about here, end of October, beginning of November, I think. So it was achievable, because there was weeks that I probably wouldn't lose weight. There was weeks that I would probably put on a little bit of weight. There's weeks that I probably would lose £1 rather than £2. Or weeks that I would maybe lose more, especially at the beginning. I'd be losing more than at the end. So maybe I'd lose 3, 2, nothing, 1. Like, so I worked it out like that in that time frame. So that was achievable. And I'm going to realistically look at my time, where it's going to be spent, how I'm going to use it, when I'm going to be able to fit the workouts in. So it was all about how it was fitting in. Time frame, it was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. And then I would evaluate it as I was going through the process. So September, oh God, I feel good, look. And it's just the little things. It's like, oh, I couldn't do that before, and now I can do that. And then as the months go on, oh, I couldn't do that before, and now I can do that. Oh, I couldn't do that before, and now I can do that. So you're evaluating the progress because you're seeing the differences. You're seeing the results. I think I weighed myself once a month. I can't remember, but I didn't focus on the weight, and I only weighed myself to give the result to my PT guy. I didn't acknowledge it as a thing, like, okay, right, that's the weight, so whatever it is, I'm going to continue on with what I'm doing. If it's something, because if you start to focus like, right, I'm going to be 10 stone this week, and if it's 10 stone too, so if you start at 12 stone 7, and like by the end of September you're 10 stone 2, but in your head you're like, right, I want to be 10 stone, I'm going to be 10 stone, I'm going to be 10 stone, step on the scale, it's 10 stone 2, fuck, I'm not 10 stone, like, oh my God, I'm not 10 stone. That's £2. £2 away from 10 stone. You have done all of that hard work there, and you're beating yourself up about £2. Like, when you look at it and start to like look at it as the bigger picture, like, you've lost like 10, 11, 12, 10, 11, 12. You've lost like 2 stone. Like, you've lost over 2 stone. Yet we're worried here about £2. That's how I used to look at it. That's what it used to be like. I used to put so much stress and so much pressure about hitting these weight targets. And yes, if you're a professional athlete and you need to make a weight for a boxing match or something, this is important. If you're just getting fitter and healthier and living like a more active lifestyle, £2 is not important. So that's the sort of mindset that we need to be looking at it as. Then the rewards are in the process. I got to 9 stone, and I think I did it before the date that I wanted to do it, and I didn't give myself a reward for it. The reward was in all this hard work that I've already done. And I'm not saying you should never give yourself a reward, because you should do it randomly. Like, so October comes round and I've been running for 2 months in Emma's trainers, have no soles on the bottom of, and it's like that angled, like, so my hips actually have started to hurt while I was running. So I rewarded myself in October with a new pair of trainers to run in. And those little rewards are the rewards that are worth it. These are not the rewards. The goal is not the reward. The process is the reward. Then this is now the next part. So you're evaluating all the time as you're going along, like monthly, weekly, like quarterly. Just evaluate where you are, how you're feeling, what you want to achieve next. So October, I knew in August that I was going to be 9 stone in December. I'd visualised it, I'd felt it, I'd put myself in my future self's shoes. So right, once December's finished, once I'm at 9 stone, like 9 stone, 9 stone 2, 9 stone 5, doesn't really matter. What's my next goal? Okay, my next goal is to maintain it. Sorry, Max is trying to get in. So my next goal is to maintain it. January, February. So I knew February, snowboarding holiday for 2 weeks. So January was all about just maintaining all that hard work I'd just done. Snowboarding, I'd be snowboarding for 2 weeks, and then I was going to come back, give myself a rest week, and then I was going to start the next challenge. Next challenge was 75 hard. But I'd planned it. I planned it back here. I'm like, right, how are we moving on? How are we moving on? How are we moving on? Because before, in the past, all my goal was, the only goal I had was 9 stone. Once I got to 9 stone, that was it. Now, 9 stone. Okay. Actually, I didn't want to be 9 stone. I want to put on weight. I want to build muscle. I want to build strength. I want to be able to do a pull-up. I want to be able to do this. So you're evaluating where you are all the time and, right, what can I do next? So we're constantly seeking. What can we do next? What can we do next? What can we do next? And it's not like, how much weight can we lose? Right, I'm 9 stone now, I want to be 8 stone. It's not keeping going down. It's like, right, progress. How do I want to progress? So I got my body fat down. Okay, now I want to build muscle. I want to be able to do this and I want to be able to do that. So it's evaluating it all the time. And it's evaluating and fitting it in with your life. And there will be things that come up. So my thing here, I finished December. My thing here, that first week of January, I was excited. I was so excited. Here, right, first week of January, let's maintain it. Let's keep it going. My nan was in hospital for a week. And I was in hospital with her for that whole week. I was in there day, night with her. I didn't want her to die alone. And I made it my thing to sit with her. So that week here, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this and I start a workout. This week, out the window. Remember, these things are going to happen. And what is a week or 2 weeks or what is that out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months? If you take a break for a week and it goes a little bit off course for a week, the key is to get back on it as quick as possible. And in the past, this week would have destroyed the next couple of months for me. I would have gone backwards, I would have reverted back to old ways, and I felt myself even doing it. I remember coming home after my nan died and there was a box of chocolates in front of me. I didn't want them, I wasn't hungry, I sat there and I ate the whole box of chocolates. And I sat there thinking, I don't even want these chocolates. I actually feel sick. I actually feel sick eating these chocolates. And I was putting them in my mouth and I was saying to myself, I feel sick. Why are you doing it? You feel sick. Stop doing it. What, like questioning like my actions. And my actions were, I couldn't express my feelings, so I was eating them instead. These moments are okay. These moments you sit with and you learn from and you develop and you grow. And I could have chose the next day after that, I could have chose to continue on and continue eating crap and continue like that feeling, or I could be like, right, okay, let's get back on it. So the next day, after I'd eaten those chocolates, I got up and I went for a run. And that run was probably the hardest I've ever ran. And it felt so fucking good. So I had a choice, and the choice was to understand that things out of our control will happen and we will react in ways that we weren't expecting to react, but we can come back around and we can carry on what we've already started to build. So I maintained this through January and February. I went snowboarding, had a week off, and then come back and hit 75 hard. And this is, again, we're going back to the goals. That 75 hard, if I had gone and tried to do a challenge like that at the very beginning, I would have failed. There's no way I would have completed 75 hard back then when I wasn't even doing 1 workout a day, let alone 2. So it's making sure that your goals are aligned to where you are. It's being realistic. It's evaluating where you are. So that was 75 hard, and then these months before, I knew I was going to be away in the van for 3 months over the summer. I knew I wasn't going to have my weights, so I had already started to plan here. Right, what do I need to do? So I bought myself some resistance bands, and I took the resistance bands with me, and I did resistance training, running, walking, surfing, all of that the whole time. This was a big challenge for me. This was probably even bigger than this 75 hard challenge, because I was going back into an environment where before I'd lived an unhealthy lifestyle. I I was going into an environment where, for me, working out outside the van with other people around, like that, me here would have not been able to do that. And realistically, this goal here was harder than all of the previous goals, but yeah, it was easier because all I had to do was carry on with what I was doing. It was a maintenance goal, maintaining where I was at throughout the summer. But it was harder because it was a new challenge. It was a different challenge. It was all about the environment I was in, and it was more of a mental challenge than a physical challenge. So when you're setting your goals, align it with how your year looks. Realistically, I don't think if I'd done 75 hard here, I would have been able to complete it. So I gave myself the opportunity to complete it here because I wanted the summer to relax a bit, to chill out a bit, to explore a bit. I wouldn't have been able to go and do all my mountain biking or my surfing if I was concentrating on 75 hard. So align it with how your life is. Like this is how we make it into a lifestyle. Put in the goals which works for where you are throughout the year. So now I've maintained my fitness. I've had a great summer, and now I'm back hard for my last challenge of the year. And I want to finish the year on a hard challenge. I want to build some muscle, build some strength, and see where I can get to by the end of the year. So set goals, but when setting the goals, the goal is not the reward. It's literally a stepping stone to get to move to the next one. The constantly seeking is the reward. This whole one step to the next step, to the next step, to the next step, constantly moving forward. But even if you're not moving forward and you're maintaining, it's constantly having that end goal in mind. But the end goal we will never reach because we are constantly progressing, constantly moving, constantly changing, adapting. Next year I've got loads of ideas, and it's about adapting and changing. Like what worked for me here isn't going to work for me like 2 years down the line. So it's sitting down, focusing on what goals you want to achieve, how are we going to get there, putting it in place, and then moving forward. And just re-evaluating that all the time. So what I will do is I will leave some tools in the description below. Go away, have a think about your goals. Again, use the tools however you see fit. You might want to make a whole spreadsheet about it. You might want to write it down in a book. You might want to use a computer. You might want to use your phone. Whatever works for you, do that. This sort of stuff works for me. Enjoy your week. See you in the next video.